Hello, this is King Howard here with Anime Discussion, and I would like to talk about Kill la Kill episode 20. And what I specifically want to talk about in episode 20 is if there's a hidden meaning behind Matoi's wedding dress, or as we know, Junketsu, that was beefed up by Ragyo and the Sewing Club. And what I think the wedding dress stands for is actually the formulaic process that society puts onto the unique and original woman to be a normal girl, to be a normal as we all think we need to be, when that is not the case. Everyone is unique, everyone is original. Even though we try to fool ourselves or even make our lives normal, quote unquote, we can't really do that because everyone comes from a different background. Like, instead of having the perfect family, like the father, mother, couple siblings, and middle class lifestyle that is always pictured as the norm, not everyone comes from that. And it happens with Matoi too. Like, she comes from a really out of the side normal, because she's almost a gang leader, I would think, from some of the flashbacks as she distances herself from her father. She comes from a single parent family, and a single father is actually raising her instead of the mother, which is usually the case when you think single parent. You think, oh, a mother, but that's not the case for her. She actually comes from a single father, and actually comes from a really weird family that I can't really go into right now because that goes onto a whole different tangent. But I'm thinking that the wedding dress is actually that formulaic process, and Matoi was fighting that like earlier in episode 19 too, because she realized that her entire life wasn't her own doing. That was just completely fabricated lifestyle that she thought she was. She thought she was unique. She thought she was human, when she realized that her father and her mother just created her to be this weapon. And even though her father took her out to try to protect her, it seems like he may have fostered her to try to fight against this, and still used her as a weapon, but for other means. Instead of taking over the world, he was fostering her to protect the world, and she just wants to do whatever she wants. And now the wedding dress comes onto her, and it actually warps her mind, actually fuses with her mind false information, and actually her entire view has been controlled by her mother. And now, like, especially in the flashbacks, once the wedding dress actually combined with her body, we actually see those flashbacks where, well, quote unquote flashbacks, because they weren't real, of images going into her mind of like the normal family, like how she was taking care of her mother, she was going to school as like a good little girl, she was acting like the normal daughter in the family, and then she gets married to life fibers, which is what the wedding dress does, and why they could call it a wedding dress, because it's marrying her to life fibers. But I'm thinking that it also is showing her that that's what people assume is what the woman's job is, through that, is to just go through life and get married or come out. And that's sort of what it feels like to me in some way, especially in like college, because you think like, oh, college, that's where you meet people, and then when you come out, you're married. And I don't think it's that easy. It's not that simple. And the wedding dress is putting it as that simple, that this is the steps you take. And Matoi is now at that tone. And I could sort of notice also, like, I looked at a picture of her in the wedding dress, and I noticed that it was completely different from the normal Junketsu, and from Senketsu also, that when she was powered up, everything was covered. Instead of it being like the normal, like, show a lot of skin and show the sexuality of the woman a little bit, it was actually really covered, like overly covered, actually, like throwing her maybe back into like the early 1900s, when it was good for women to have like the long dresses and actually be nice and formal and everything about that. But then, like, in the 1920s, in like America at least, then the flappers started to arise, and like women started to cut back their hair, look a bit more free, because they had that extra freedom for them. And that can also be seen right here as like the Junketsu and Senketsu, the early versions. They were really showing some skin, really showing off who they were, sexuality, and then the new wedding dress, the new Junketsu gets put onto her, and now she's thrown back into this old sense of what the woman was. And I think that is what the wedding dress is, really, is that it can be seen as like a form of society oppressing Matoi as the unique original woman to throw back to the days that women just didn't didn't control anything, really, and were just there seen as objects. Even though people say that the new woman that we have in this day and age is like seen as a sex object, it's sort of a lot different than just being there as like a prize to be taken by men. Because she at least can do whatever she wants, whatever she thinks, instead of just sitting there and doing nothing. If she wants to go around and do whatever, then that's fine today. But back in the day, that's like, what are you doing? No, you need to just be there to please the men. And that is a very big tangent, really. But I'm just thinking that that's what the entire goal of the wedding dress is, or why it's called a wedding dress, as it seems as the more formal, more formulaic process of what a woman should do, and it's going against what Matoi has done. It's even forced against her, as we see when she starts to cry after those quote-unquote flashbacks that Junketsu throws into her. She starts crying. I'm thinking that crying, she's crying as she loses her originality, as she's forced to conform to society, as people get bombarded with this. Like, we always get bombarded. Like, oh, you don't like to do the normal thing? You're weird. Like, you get ousted from society if you don't do the normal thing, and it can be hard for a lot of people to try to be themselves. We say be yourself. There's so much information that says don't be yourself. You have to be someone different. You have to always lie to people to get what you want. And this is a really interesting topic that I didn't think I would get so much into talk about, but that is what I think the wedding dress is, because Kill la Kill has that underlying theme of it being all about womanhood, sort of. And every time, since I've seen the picture, I'll link it in the description, of the picture where it started talking about, like, Kill la Kill was all about womanhood as much as Gurren Lagann was all about manhood. I started to see these more and more as my ideas started to run, that Kill la Kill has a lot of those themes, because we see it, like, I forget the exact episode, I think it's episode 6, where Matoi is embarrassed of wearing Senketsu, but when Satsuki comes out and she's wearing Junketsu, like, Matoi's like, do you have any shame? And it's like, no, I would bare my breasts to all, and like, this is me, I don't care what anyone else thinks. And I'm like, wow, that is a really strong woman character saying, I don't care what anyone else thinks about what I wear, I'm gonna wear whatever I want, and this is me. If you don't accept it, go to hell. That is a great idea, a great person to really go behind, even with the scantily clad women. That is strong right there, and I just think this is a really great show for some of the ideas I'm getting from this as the hidden meanings behind some of the shows. Alright, thank you for listening. Bye.